Hey guys, welcome back to Raid Shadow Legends. In today's video, I want to talk about getting gear in the early game because even though we do have all the general gear dungeons in the game, I don't like farming them in the early game. The one exception is spiders, and I'll talk about my account and show you guys why I may actually farm some spiders and when that might be. But for the other ones, I try to avoid them as much as possible just because the game has put so many other ways to get some good gear for your beginner account without having to delve into these. Now, that doesn't mean these are inherently bad. I will farm the shit out of these eventually, but I want to be into the hard modes and stuff like that before I start dumping a lot of energy into them, because I would rather be working on my masteries for Minotaurs or 6-starring extra champions at this stage when I can farm that at high efficiency, being I can farm stage 15 of Minotaurs and I can farm Brutal 12-3 to farm fodder. So I'd rather be farming those, even though I might feel like I'm getting too much fodder built up and stuff like that. I would rather farm those early and keep getting gear through these other sources that I'm going to show you, which I have, about 8 written down to go through. And then eventually I will have my account built up. And then when I go in and I farm some dragons for some speed set, hopefully I can be in the hard section and, start getting some better drops over there. So that is my thought process. But people have been asking me, and I want to go through every place where I get some gear. So the first one, which you'll see on my Mikey here, is going to be from the beginner pass. Now, this is where everyone gets their first set of decent gear, hopefully, that they can use. You get 6 pieces here of lifesteal. And then you get another 6 pieces of lifesteal over here. Now with those, hopefully you can piece together 1, if not 2 sets of lifesteal to really help you on your way. Now I often reroll for good gear out of these ones, trying to get some good speed subs or, like crit rate gloves, attack chest, speed boots, something like that is what I often aim for. But yes, the lifesteal set is so good that you get from this early stage, and that will be most people's first set of gear. Now moving past that, your next gear is going to come from campaign stages. In the very early game, maybe you're farming on normal and getting some 3-star speed boots just so you can get any kind of speed on your champions. But then eventually, once you get into into brutal, maybe you're like me and I farmed some stage 6 of Palace of Arabia to try and get myself some 4 or 5-star boots that I could then upgrade and get my champions a little bit faster in the early game. And so that is where you can do it here. Also, if you're missing like one piece, like maybe you need that attack chest for your for your lifesteal set, well, you can come farm that here and not really worry about the substats in the early game. That is in the early game. Now, in the later game, when we get into the Nightmare especially, you have progression wards, which I can't show you anymore. But once you get into Nightmare of Campaign, there is, once you get so many stars in Campaign, a full set of epic 6-star speed gear here. So you get a full set of that. And so I can show you guys that, where I got super lucky on this account, and as you can see, I managed to nab some speed boots and some HP % gloves that actually put a roll into speed, which is just absolutely phenomenal. So you can get some really good stuff out of that as well. Once again, it's all luck of the draw on those pieces, but you can use the campaign in the early game to farm some 4 or 5-star white or green gear just to go ahead and get some speed upgrades on your characters or fill in those gaps of your lifesteal sets. Now, moving on from that, you do have a bunch that come in the Arbiter missions as well. Some of them, along the way, some of them give you some speed set pieces. It's not always like a big chunk of them, but you do get some pieces along the way. When we look late term here in the Arbiter missions, you can see we get some there from doing that. We get a full set of these bad boys, and we get a full set of these bad boys. Now, I will go through where I'm at with the Arbiter missions in a minute, but that's not what the start of this video is about. We're going through gear. So Arbiter missions does have some gear. Like I said, sometimes you get some 5-star gear and stuff like that. Now, the next place, counter to what I said at the start, is going to be in the dungeons, because the only time I do the dungeons is when the Arbiter missions tell me to. So through process of, you will end up going to all these dungeons a lot of times through the Arbiter missions, and you will pick up little pieces that you can slot in along the way. For instance, this chest piece on Mikey is an attack %. It's only 5-star, but it rolled 15 speed, which is really nice. Plus it's got crit damage, accuracy, and crit rate. It's actually a really nice chest piece. And because I have a feral set of boots, which I'll talk about where to get them in a minute, because I have the feral boots, it kind of like, I get the 1-piece bonus to the 40 accuracy, and, then I can just take this piece, which has really nice substats for now. Once again, that's very early on, but yes, I still get some gear from the dungeons that I get along the way, which, if it fits, it fits. So you got to use whatever you get as you go. Now, the next one I'm going to touch on is tournaments. Now, I've mentioned this many times before, but as you can see, I've just shifted my Tahanarach here onto a Relentless set for some testing. And yes, all these pieces of gear I do get through the tournaments. So she's on a DPS build. She's got the crit rate and then the defense percent. So that's what she's on. She's a little bit slow. But yeah, these Relentless pieces, you can see this one's just got some crit rate because I put her on a crit build. It would be great to have some speed. But hey, it is what it is. You get a bunch of these. If I go and show you guys my Relentless pieces that I've gotten so far, you can see I've got a ton in here. Unfortunately, they all rolled like absolute dog shit except for the ones I've got on her. But I do get a bunch of these. That is through tournaments. Now, if we go to the tournaments, the dragon's normally going to have blues, so rare 6-star. Oh no, this has epic 6-star. Yeah, so these tournaments always have stuff, but the best place to get it is going to be through the classic arena tournament because it doesn't make you use your energy. So I don't really go for these things in any of the dungeon tournaments or anything like that. I get them all from classic arena, and then also when we have the tag arena, that's the best tournament because you'd often get 6-star legendary pieces from the tag arena tournament. And if you can just be vigilant and get all your attacks done and keep doing them, you should be able to get, in the top 2, hopefully, and get yourself some of those bad boys. But once again, that is a bit more sweaty along the way. Now, the next one I want to go through is you will see on my characters here, you can see we got some resilience pieces here just because I had a little bit of speed, nothing crazy over there. You can see we got the perception over here and over here. And then if we duck down over to, where is it? Tagoar. People are asking me why my Tagoar is on 4-piece perception. It's just because this is my, you only really need 5 sets of gear for your main 5 characters in the early game. And then I have this flex set of gear because Tagoar's like the character I sometimes use. And I also swap it over onto Madam Serris. So she appreciates the accuracy and it's just the most scuffed build that I could put together. But if you craft some good pieces, you can get some absolute godly pieces of perception gear and resilience gear. And if you want to, I've also crafted a few of them just to test it out. If I can go ahead and find them down here, Swift Parry, because I got super lucky on my other account. Now this account, we did get some speed boots with crit rate, which was really nice. But besides that, we haven't really hit too much else that's good. My head's covering it, but just trust me, the pieces aren't that good. So you can craft a bunch of those gear. Now, how are you going to craft that gear? It is through faction wars. Now, we can't cheese it up the way we used to, but with the free gear removal now, you can really climb faction wars on a lot of different faction crypts. And at the moment, in the Orc crypt, I can do the stage where it gets us I'm pretty sure I can do it there, where I can get some of the legendary crafting materials. I think I can do it on Sacred Order 2. It's the one just before the second boss. And I think I can do it there too. I can definitely do it over here on Bannerlords as well. And I can definitely do it on the Barbarian crypt. So, you start getting some places. So as those days roll around, I can actually go ahead and come over here into the Forge and actually craft myself some, potential 6-star up to legendary pieces. And when I am doing these 5 to 6-star crafts, that's when I am using all my rank charms and rarity charms in the early game. So that is how you can get some of those ones. But the perception set especially is a very, very strong set, which is fantastic because you're getting accuracy and that speed. Very, very good. Now, the next one we're going to look at is over here, which I got lucky on these pieces. I'm probably going to swap Anax to a more tanky build, but you can see we've got speed boots here, and we've also got the crit rate gloves over here, and I get them from Arena. Now, that's not going to be for most players unless you're sweaty like me. You get them from your weekly settlement chest, but to get good pieces of gear, you do have to be up in the high levels of gold to get it. So sorry, I was just checking my stuff there. So yeah, if we look at these chests, this is where you're going to get some of this decent gear over here. Platinum's completely out of reach for anyone, but you can get up to gold 5 for players if you cheese and no life it. But once again, I'm not going to focus too much on that one because I only got one little set from it. And that shit's not really viable for most people, I don't think. So that is that one. Now, the next one I want to look to is over here. If we take a look at my Mikey's boots, which are on this feral set. Now, we landed some speed boots here that actually got to 18 crit rate, which was really, really nice. Unfortunately, we didn't roll the speed extra stat, but these feral boots. Now, this one's a bit more tricky as well. I got these from Siege. So when you get to level Shit, I can't remember what level it is. It's a higher level. You unlock Siege. I can't remember the level. I apologize, guys. But you want to get into a good guild. And you can see me, I'm in a Japanese guild. All I do, I can't show you because I'm actually in a guild. But when you go to filter clans, there's a filtering section. And I just filter for level 16 or 15 and above clans. Then I go through each region because there's different regions at the top. I ended up on Japan for this one. And then I scroll down to see clans that have 29 or 28 members, and then I click on them, see if they're active and they have strong players. If they're active, they have strong players, and they're insta join. There's not many of them, but I just get straight in there. So this was a clan that I didn't ask anyone to get into, but I just found it and I joined it, and now this is a clan that is regularly clearing literally every clan boss, but also then we by virtue we get the siege. So it's a bit sweaty to try and find yourself a clan that can actually deal with siege. But even though like my clan, we lost, we didn't get to the third set, you can see we still got 6 pieces of this feral gear that, you know, I ended up getting some really nice speed boosts from. So if you want to invest the time, try and find yourself a clan without asking your friends and then not contributing too much to their clan. Well, this is one way you can do it. And that's how I did it. And that's why I'm just sitting in this clan, trying to make the most of what I can. Because you always want your clan to be clearing whatever stage of clan boss that you are up to. So right now, I'm doing Nightmare. So you can see I got 19.1 in one key. I'm doing Nightmare and Brutal at the moment. I'd say in another few days, I may have an attempt at Ultra Nightmare just to gauge where I'm at and see how I'm going over there. But this clan is basically clearing every difficulty every day. So it's absolutely fantastic. Once again, you can get it in Siege. Now, that leads me into another place, Clan Boss, where I haven't actually got any gear that I'm using from it. But once you get into Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare, you can start getting some decent gear from Clan Boss. However, you know, like I said, I think at this stage, we're still only getting 5 stars. So I'm not really using many of them in Nightmare. And once you get to Ultra Nightmare, you probably got good gear anyway. So I'm not going to go too deep onto that one. Now, the final one that I want to go through, and let me know if you guys have other ways to get good gear for a newer player, but the final one is going to be your daily logins through things like the Michelangelo Chase. Obviously, getting this type of gear, you never know how it's going to be, but dude, if you get some good pieces, you're in luck. So that's what you can look to. I did get some great gloves with some shit substats, and, you know, but that's about it that I got from those ones. I didn't get some great gear. So it is what it is, but anytime there's a login thing or something like that, definitely check it out. We have had Deck of Fate in the not too near past that gave a great amount of pinpoint gear as well. And then the final one is the shop, which I don't recommend buying from the shop. I did buy, I'll show you the one piece I bought from the shop for 2.9 million and got shafted on it because I was wanting to build a Savage set. I bought this chest piece. Wait, let me move my head. I bought this chest piece. It had crit damage, it had a flat attack, and it had crit rate. And I'm like, surely we don't get more than one roll into flat attack. We got the first 2 into flat attack and then a crit rate roll. It's still not horrible, but, you know, if you're buying from there, you really want the ideal main stat with the all ideal substats. Otherwise, leave it because you know it's always going to roll into the shit. But yeah, shop is another place you can get it, but I don't recommend buying much there, especially in the early game as a new player if you're not too sure on what you're doing. But that covers every place where I get gear, and I can quickly go through my characters. Mikey, we got the beginner life stack gear, and then we've got that feral gear that we got from Siege, and then an off piece that we got from a dungeon run. To Hunrak, we obviously got all this gear from tournaments, and then we got 2 pieces that we got from the campaign stars in Nightmare, which ended up rolling a bit of speed. We had 18 speed here, and we had 12 speed there, so not too bad. That's where hers came from. His, we came from arena on these ones, and then the rest are just crafted pieces of gear from the faction wars. He's pretty scuffed still. And then over here on Deacon, once again, crafted gear. Then we've got some other, this was, I know the boots and the gloves were from my Nightmare clear, and these might have just been dungeon drop pieces that I got along the way because they're 5 stars. Or this one, you do get some epic 5 stars from the Arbiter missions. So this one might have been from the Arbiter missions, and this one was probably a drop, something like that along the way. Then we go over here into Vergis. Now, Vergis doesn't want to be on life still, but because I had some speed boots, you know, this piece not too bad, this piece not too bad, this piece not too bad. You know, we're making it work. So that's what he's on. He's on the life still, and then we also got some speed set as well. And that's pretty much all the main characters. Now, as I mentioned, more crafted gear over here, but that's, you only really need those 5 main sets in the early game for progressing. Like I said, I'm into Nightmare campaign and all that sort of stuff. So you know, we're getting good progression out of just that gear that you can get. Now, once again, it does take some sweaty play to get, you know, the tournament gear and stuff like that. Also, to get some of this feral gear, you got to like try and get into a clan, but it is there if you want to go ahead and get it. Like I said, I like focusing on leveling up champions and doing masteries before I go over into the dungeons, because especially masteries, if you have every champion on War Master, it's going to make all your dungeons a lot easier, especially dragons, which is like the go-to one to get, you know, your speed set. And if all your champions have War Master, like I do here, Deacon is the only one I'm still farming up Minotaurs for, you know, it just makes things so much smoother to be able to deal that extra damage to the bosses. So masteries and leveling up champions, I know through this final phase of the Arbiter missions, I'm going to have to make a 6-star Ascended, Spirit, Magic, Force, and Void champion. These guys are all 6-star ready to go. She's almost getting ready to get 6-starred and ready to go. And having that food ready so that if you do pull a champion that you want to upgrade, it's really nice to have as well. Plus, once again, in the early game, you are farming 12-3 Brutal, or at least, you know, 20 days in, you should be. And that way you're farming that as max efficiency, as opposed to farming, say, stage 18, 20, you know, of dragons, when maybe you do all these upgrades, you get all your masteries on your core champions, and then maybe you can push to like 25, maybe into the hard modes. That's kind of what I balance out and try and look towards. So that is that one. Now, as I mentioned, the one place that I might look to do is some spiders farming. So I just realized this video is long. I've been yapping for fucking ages, but hey, it is what it is. So let's go over here. So obviously Mikey, he's a login champion, so you get his faction pieces. Now these don't have the ideal main stat, like we want crit damage there and attack there, but these are not bad support pieces, and they just add to his tankiness because he taunts and sometimes he can be a target. So I was like, screw it, we're just gonna max these out. Eventually, you know, HP with accuracy is gonna go on someone. Defense with defense rolls and HP rolls is gonna go on someone. And then tomorrow I will get his banner. So he's pretty much sorted. But if we look over here to Hunterak, she is still on the 1-star ring, the 4-star attack with crit damage necklace, and then this one, it's shit, but hey, it's got 13 speed, so we will take it. But as you can see, like, all my characters are pretty scuffed in what they are running on their accessories. So that is why the one place that I would look to do it is going over there. Actually, I just thought of a place where I had not told you guys where to get some more gear, and that is over in the clan shop. Now, you can get accessories over here. Because I've had to do all the potion ascending missions, which all of them cost like at least $1 million, I've just bought a bunch of silver this week. But you can get yourself some accessories, and you can also get yourself the what's this one called, Killstroke. So you can also get some Killstroke gear from the clan shop, and on different rotations it's available earlier, so you can actually get some. So I even bought some earlier. Unfortunately, it all ended up being shit, but let's go over here to my Killstroke. And you can see I've bought a few pieces. They all ended up being pretty bad. If I move my head over here, you can see this one. Actually, you know, one speed roll, one crit damage roll. It's not horrid, but it's not crazy. This one, shit substats. This one, yeah, shit. So that's kind of where we're at. But you can buy those, and once again, it's all random. It's just like crafting. You could get lucky, you might not. So I just want to fill that in because that is one I forgot to put down on my notes. But yes, as you can see, all my accessories are really shit. And the funny thing is that eventually, you know, the spiders is the one where you actually get no pieces that you'll use, because there's all these new sets that have bonuses tied into them, kind of like, you know, the counterattack, but then, you know, you got your pinpoint, you got the new one, the chronophage new one, and stuff like that. And eventually, you know, these are something you'll never use, but in the early game, it's hard to get those things. So, you know, spiders is somewhere that I feel like I can get a lot of progress on my account for not too much energy, because, you know, replacing a 1-star ring with a 5-star or 6-star ring, no matter what the fuck the stats are, is going to be a really nice boost to that character. The same goes over here. You know, we're on 3-star and 3-star. We would love to get some upgrades on that. Even this is a 3-star, but, you know, it's got 5 speed. Woo! You know what I mean? So that's what the one exception. I would... Bro, I didn't even upgrade your ring. But yeah, I would definitely go ahead and look to farming a little bit of spiders just to get that up. Now, obviously, my Arbiter missions have been telling me to do that. Got one more run to go, and then we are on the home stretch of these Arbiter missions. But I think that's going to be it for this video. I was going to do a recap of what were we on? Day 24 for play, day 25 of logins. But dude, this is going on way too long. That is everywhere I get gear in the early game that isn't the dungeons. And one of them is the dungeons. Shit. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one, guys. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.